Let's talk a little bit more about what, in fact, companies were looking for and will be looking for in 23. I know we don't have a clear vision into that exactly, but we've talked before and you've brought up the theme of strategically recruiting for holistic fit. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that. How's that done?
Okay. Well, I think it's continuing, by the way. I do think we are continuing on the holistic fit, but it breaks down to elements. And let me kind of tell you what that means. And I'm going to draw a little picture for everybody. Imagine we're talking about an Oreo cookie. Okay, it has the cookie on the top, it's got the cookie on the bottom, and there's the stuff that we all used to lick out as kids in the middle, right? Okay. If you're in leadership today, you're in the middle. If you're the CEO, you're in the middle. So what's below and what's above? Below, and this is where the holistic leadership comes in. So you can see how it plays on both sides of the center. Below, you have your operations that are driven by certain priorities that everyone's agreed to and strategies to make it work. But things are changing so rapidly that how do you get a team to actually drive to value, enterprise value, when you get the pushback of not invented here, why should I do it? I've never done it before. It's not in my swim lane. So that requires a leader who can impassion a group, that can build integrity and trust to lead, and also with extraordinarily transparent and communicative. You have to be able to communicate it. And you have to be honest of where you are. Not everything's going to work. Look at the 70% I was speaking about of transformations that haven't worked. Okay, that comes from John Kotter, the eminent Harvard professor, who's now emeritus. But if you stop to think about it, that's what the bottom of the cookie is. So you could be the leader on the white horse with the saber saying going forward and look back, and you got nobody behind you. So it takes a certain set of skills that are well beyond, do I have the experience? Have I had the experience in the past of working in that industry, working in that specific function, working with a specific problem, because you don't know what problems will be put in front of you, nor do you know what opportunities you may be available that you could capitalize on if you can align everybody going in the right direction. Now you're at the top of the cookie, and who's up there but your board or your owners? And if it's a public company, yes, they're being bombarded with this social contract, societal contract, and that's the ESG, and that's the DE&I, that's succession planning and all the rest. But it's also corporate governance. And in addition to that, you've got 1,100 hedge funds led by people that you probably wouldn't want at your dinner table. Those folks are putting a lot of pressure as activist investors on these companies to perform. You can read in the Wall Street Journal, almost every day there's an activist investor who's pressing one company or another to split off a division, to buy a division, to recapitalize, or whatever it may be. So if you think about it, why is that important? Well, because today you have half as many public companies as you did 15 years ago. Okay. So where are these hedge funds going to invest? Well, they're going to invest where they can make the most money the fastest, just like a private equity firm. And many of them are private equity firms that have branched out into more, let's call it, risk-oriented opportunities. So that's public companies. And then, of course, you have it with the same with private equity owners or families, like I was describing to you a few minutes ago, where there's a family that has 46 people waiting by the mailbox, and they're trying to run the family's trying to run a multi-billion-dollar company. And there's always these conflicts that have to be worked out. So a leader who sits in the middle has to have the judgment, it has to have the insight and perspective to deal with the board, to understand their issues and collaborate with them. At the same time, they have to have the skill, experience, the know-how, the leap to work with a team to drive that set of values and be able to communicate at both ends of the cookie. That's what I'm talking about, at both sides of the cookie. That's what I'm talking about, this holistic approach. It's no longer enough to say, I'm the financial officer. Yes, I'm more strategic than I used to be, and here's my job. Not enough anymore. That's not what our clients are seeking. They're not seeking plug and play. They're seeking thoughtful, holistic types of leaders who can deal with the problems that we don't even know what's coming around the bend next. Okay, how do we do that? Are we adaptable? Are we agile? Do we think agilely? Do we work as a team? Can we talk to the board? You know, one more part of that is many CEOs really get upset when board members call members of the team individually to ask about a specific issue. But I can tell you today, what's happening inside of boardrooms and what they're really looking for, they understand that we're coming to a confluence of human capital and technology. You can look at AI, you can look at almost every industry. And they're trying to get a handle on this, and they don't understand it the way that they should, okay, or would want to. And yet these companies are changing at a pace that they have to change at that pace in order to be competitive. And it takes a leader at both ends of that cookie to make sure they don't get squashed in the middle. And that's the holistic piece that I'm speaking about.